did a good job on that side.
We all painted.
Dawn, come over here. Come stand here, Jenny.
Here, let's get a few more folks coming up in here. Oh, now we're union. We don't mind getting close.
I lost my phone about this.
I know.
And we're doing like talking about retirement.
And I haven't met I was online virtual.
That way everybody can be.
Thank you, Mama.
You like me, I
Get
get
it
it.
now. Can I hear from other people? Make those taking care of my plans too.
I'm trying to keep aside place.
They've been hidden in childcare. So.
But at the shelter at the hospital.
Yeah, they were at the conference.
I was hanging out of there.
You couldn't listen, but they're gonna be around us somewhere. While we're having coffee. We haven't worked that. They always let me know who my work is. Nice to meet you. I'm always like,
She's coming. Mara's coming. Okay.
Is he going to be at your place tonight?
I'm going to take my, I really want this pizza pop brother. We got it off a little bit.
Tonight.
I did not know how to read. I barely got here. No. So I was like, oh man, but Joya, these beautiful clothes right now, so I think I'll survive for the few minutes that I need. How's the congressional record?
Does anybody else need a sign? We want to get some of these in here as well.
What's the worst the convention going to be? It's going to be Anaheim.
Like people, and then like it wasn't too bad earlier, but that's that by sight. I always do a little power move.
On three, say save childcare. 1, 2, 3.
Save childcare!
Leader Jeffries will probably come right up here and speak after this. So you should always walk this way in front of you.
All right, everyone, Leader Jeffries is here. Let's give it up.
Hi.
You need to let people through. They laugh.
Of course.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming.
Yes. Make people wait. Not at all.
Especially it's cold.
So are we good? I don't know if somebody is. Okay. So are we good to go?
I like your blazer.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And thank you so much for being here. I want to start with a chant. Will you help me out? Yes. So I'm going to say what we're doing, and I want you to say, "'Cause care can't wait."
Okay.
We're standing up.
'Cause care can't wait.
We're speaking out.
'Cause care can't wait.
We're fighting back.
'Cause care can't wait.
We're standing up.
'Cause care can't wait.
We're speaking out.
'Cause care can't wait.
We're fighting back.
'Cause care can't wait.
Thank you all so very much. So I'm Leslie Frayne, Executive Vice President of the Service Employees International Union, and I'm joined here today by care providers, consumers, and allies from all across the country. We are united in our commitment to creating a care system that works for everyone. We're also united in our commitment to the rights and to the dignity of all of our nation's caregivers, home care workers, nursing home workers, hospital workers alike. And today we'll focus especially on the child care workers, the hardworking, dedicated, and talented workers who care for our country's most precious resource, the key to our future, our nation's children. We are in the midst of a deepening child care crisis, a crisis that prevents millions of families from accessing the care that they need in order to be able to go to work knowing that their kids are safe and secure at home. It's a crisis that leaves millions of child care providers living in poverty, unable to provide for their families with the same dignity and security that they strive every day to provide for the families that they take care of. Now, to be clear, this isn't a new problem, but today we stand on a precipice caused by the refusal of extremist right-wing politicians to extend much-needed federal child care stabilization funds. So our demand is clear. Congress must pass President Biden's $16 billion supplemental child care funding requests so that our nation's kids and our families and our child care providers don't fall off that precipice. Now, when I talk about a precipice, I want to be clear about what's at stake. 3.2 million kids are at risk of losing access to early childhood education. Over 200,000 child care providers may be forced out of the profession due to the expiration of the stabilization grants. This crisis disproportionately impacts our Black, brown, and immigrant communities because child care providers are disproportionately Black, brown, and immigrant, and because those are the communities that rely most on Title I and Head Start funding for care. And this crisis comes at a time when child care providers are already struggling with inadequate pay and benefits, and when millions of families already can't find care because low pay has forced so many child care providers out of the field. And sadly, unless Congress takes immediate action, the situation will get immeasurably worse. That's why together, we join together in a righteous demand. Let me say it one more time. Together, we call on Congress to support President Biden's request for $16 billion in child care supplemental funding. Our kids, our families, and our caregivers can't afford further delay because the situation is urgent and care can't wait. Today, SEIU, Community Change Action, the members of the Care Can't Wait Coalition are hosting a lobby day. All day, we've been sharing stories with senators and members of Congress about how all of us are impacted by this crisis. We've traveled from all over the country to be here today, and we do so because we are determined that no one will fall off the precipice, because we want to convey our determination, our hope, and our belief that together we can build a stronger, more equitable care system for our kids and for the people who take care of them as well. And now it is my enormous pleasure to be able to welcome House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Leader Jeffries is a powerful advocate for child care and really a champion for every type of care that our communities need to thrive. He knows firsthand from personal experience the importance of having a strong care system of all kinds of care, including health care, home care, and child care, as well as the importance of ensuring that care jobs are good union jobs. And whenever he talks about care, he lifts up the voices of the people who provide that care and underscores the importance of quality jobs, quality union jobs. He's a member of the SEIU family in his home state of New York. I hear tell that our members in Local 1199, United Healthcare Workers ACE, consider him to be an honorary member. And we're grateful to Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries for joining us today. Please join me in welcoming Leader Jeffries.
Thank you very much, Leslie, for your leadership, your partnership, and your friendship. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Good afternoon. It's an honor and a privilege to stand here today as House Democratic leader, to make clear that House Democrats strongly and unequivocally will fight to make sure we secure the $16 billion in child care funding, because care can't wait. We're going to continue to put people over politics. And there's no better way to do it at this moment than ensuring that child care can continue to be provided in an affordable and dignified and decent fashion, and that we support families and the child care workers who spend their time preciously caring for the youngest amongst us, to ensure that those families can understand that their children are being watched over in a safe and comfortable learning environment, while they're able to go out and contribute economically to our society. That's family values. Now, our colleagues on the other side of the aisle, the extreme MAGA Republicans, talk a good game when it comes to family values. But when you think about child care, what is more meaningful than that as it relates to standing up for the American family? Affordable child care is incredibly important for low-income families. Affordable child care is incredibly important for working families. Affordable child care is incredibly important for middle-class families. And so it's important to America. It should be important to the members who serve in the House and in the Senate. And that's why we're going to stand strongly and fight for the entire amount of funding. 16B are the signs that I see, the entire amount of funding. And we're going to work to get it over the finish line. It's my honor, of course, to stand with child care providers and families and community stakeholders, as well as SEIU, that has been at the forefront of this fight. And our commitment to you as House Democrats is that whatever it takes at this particular moment, we are going to continue to show up. We are going to continue to stand up. We are going to continue to speak up until we are able to secure here in the Congress the $16 billion in funding necessary to allow the child care system to continue to function in a dignified fashion for all involved. And together, because of your passion, because of your presence, because of the progress that you are committed to make here in the Congress, I'm convinced that the best is yet to come, and we will win this fight, because care can't wait.
Care can't wait.
Care can't wait. Care can't wait. Care can't wait. Care can't wait. Now, it's my honor. We've been joined by several distinguished members of Congress. We've got Suzanne Bonamici, who I know may be speaking, and Suzanne has got the right color coat on. We've got Catherine Clark, who you'll hear from momentarily, who's got the right shade of coat on, and Rosa DeLauro. Well, the color speaks for itself. And they're all tremendous advocates. But let me, and Lois Frankel, of course, and Sarah Jacobs, who's behind us. It's now my honor, however, to yield to the great whip of the House Democratic Caucus, a tremendous fighter on this issue for child care, who recognizes that care can't wait, the Honorable Catherine Clark.
Thank you. Let's hear it again for our leader, Hakeem Jeffries. Thank you, Hakeem. Thank you, everyone, for coming to Capitol Hill with your brothers and sisters to deliver our message loud and clear. And what is that message? Care can't wait. That is right. And let's be clear. Crystal clear, childcare is economic infrastructure, and our country cannot function without it, cannot function without all of you. And if parents can't afford to go to work, it all grinds to a halt. And that's true in every state, every congressional district, every zip code. Just this week, I got to travel to Pittsburgh, to Chris DeLuzio's district in Western Pennsylvania, and we toured their new airport. And you know what they put in place with the bipartisan infrastructure money? Child care center. A child care center. And that means that the workers who are working in concessions in the airport, TSA workers, flight attendants, air traffic controllers, they can go to work and have a quality, safe environment for their children. They would all be forced to choose between a job and their kids if we do not keep this fight up. And fortunately, we not only have Leader Hakeem Jeffries, we have a president and a Senate majority and a House Democratic caucus that are united behind working families, parents, kids, and workers. And what we need is for the Republicans to either get on board or get out of our way. So the GOP has let this critical child care funding expire. And now millions of parents and caregivers are on the verge of a crisis. If we don't act now, 70,000 child care centers could close. Workers will be laid off, kids will lose their classrooms, and parents will have nowhere to turn. We saved child care, all of us together, during the pandemic. And now we need to finish the job. We're not going to walk away from this fight. We can and must fund childcare as critical infrastructure that it is, as the glue that holds our economy together. For moms, for dads, for kids, for early educators, for our entire country. So I thank all of you in the Care Can't Wait Coalition for making your voices heard. You're on the front lines of this fight, and House Democrats are so proud to stand with you. And it is my privilege to turn the floor over to one of those fighters, a child care provider, a proud member of SEIU Local 521, Maria Angelica Vargas. Oh, there she is.
Hello, my name is Angelica Vargas, and I am proud mother, grandmother, and family child care provider from Madera, California. I am also proud member of SEIU Local 521 Child Care United. I have worked as a family child care provider for 13 years. I opened my child care when my daughter was first diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. At the time, I worked as a manager for Walmart for 17 years. When I told them I would need time to care for my daughter, they told me they couldn't accommodate me, and I left, quit. So I opened my daycare to have the time to care for her and support my family. Thanks to God, my daughter has been cancer-free for 5 years. I love what I do. It's my true calling. The kids I care for make my life. As providers, we aren't just providers. We are teachers, nurses, therapists, and so much more. We are many things to the children and to their families, and they are everything to us. But when I joined Child Care Provider United during the height of the pandemic, what motivated me to join wasn't just what I love, but the need to fix deep issues with the child care system. Providers across the country do this important work with no affordable health care to be able to take care of our own families without the protection that we need, like paid time off, and we definitely don't get the pay that we deserve. we do not do the only struggling, but families are also having a hard time getting the affordable child care they need. This is the reality of this moment. The child care system is facing a deep crisis. We've been experiencing hardship within this system, and we found for better with the power of our union. I'm a proud union family who I'm standing together with my union. But we are not able to win better raises, health care, and retirement without more federal money in the system. Together, let's address the shortages of child care providers and early learning workers by improving compensations and benefits for childhood education and professionals. Let's make sure families have access to affordable, high-quality child care. By investing in our child care system through additional emergency funding, Congress can ensure these child care providers like me can continue to fight with higher wages, health care, and retirement plan, and provide the best possible care and education for our children. As a child care provider, I open through all the pandemic time, and I'm proud to do that because our kids were handing out to us from the schools, and we were standing there for them. And it's not just for them, but for the parents, because they didn't know what to do. So we're here on the fight. So when you fight, we win. When you fight, we win. Thank you very much.
Rosa, and then you.
Connecticut is in the house.
Well done. Wow. What brave souls. It's cold today, but it's warm here. It's warm here. And thank you. Care cannot wait. Yes, indeed. So I want to just say a thank you to our leader, Hakeem Jeffries, or Whip Clark, who was here for their leadership, for their dedication in uplifting families in this country, and to Maria Angelica Vargas. Thank you so much, Maria. For Tanya Brown, thank you. We'll hear from you in a little bit. For all the work, the hard work, the organizations represented here today are engaged in. It's unwavering advocacy. They never give up, and you don't take no for an answer. That's what we need to do. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. I want to acknowledge my colleagues, Lois Frankel, Suzanne Bonamici, Sarah Jacobs. I see Sheila Jackson-Lee. Maybe Joaquin Castro is somewhere in the room, but we're all out here to say to you that we are with you, we stand with you, and we're going to fight for that $16 billion. You know, we are confronting crises on so many multiple fronts today, at home and abroad. Hardworking Americans, it's not just a slogan. They live paycheck to paycheck. They're struggling to make ends meet, to put food on the table, to pay their health care costs. They're stretched thin, and some parents work multiple jobs just to afford safe and high-quality child care, because you don't want to put your kid anywhere. You want them to be safe. That's your responsibility. It's your obligation as a parent, and they take it seriously. You know, the child care industry was in crisis before we had a global pandemic. Now it is in a state of catastrophe. It's broken for parents, for families, and providers across this country. The president has requested $16 billion. It's urgent that we find that path forward to provide the funding to relieve the American people, the families, of the overwhelming burden and for the cost of quality child care. In the state of Connecticut, it's $12,000 to $15,000 a year. Who can afford that if you have one? And that's per child. It is per child. So we have a nationwide shortage of qualified providers. Because why? The compensation for these positions is simply too low. And providers are fighting to make ends meet. They need and they deserve a fair and a livable wage. And the shortage makes it harder for families to relocate and to find reliable child care options. And when they do, it is so expensive, as I pointed out. So families, you will see, are trapped in a vicious cycle where they are faced with either taking on extra work just to be able to afford safe and reliable child care, or they forego work altogether, accepting lower household income and a lower standard of living in order to stay home and take care of their children. And why do we want them out of the workforce? We want women and men, but women, the burden falls mostly on women. They need to be in the workforce to be able to afford child care. You know, without consistent access to high quality, affordable care, children lose out on a valuable opportunity to learn, to be able to grow. It's not fair. It's not right. It is not to happen in America. We can and we must do better. You know, and the status quo today, my friends, is unacceptable. It has to change. You know, House Republicans will say, we cannot afford to invest in our children. Who better to invest in? Many of you know we fought and we then worked to expand and renew a child tax credit. I never go to one of these events without trying to talk about the child tax credit because it was one of the biggest issues to lift our kids out of poverty. It was one of the ways in which parents could go to work and they could put their kids in safe and affordable child care. And so we have to bring it back. It was an incredible success. You know, we cut child poverty, as I said, in half. And you know, Republicans say we can't afford these investments. According to them, they can't afford to let their friends in the top 1/10%, the billionaires and the big corporations, pay no tax at all. They're happy with that. They don't care about that. But let's talk about public investment in kids. And oh my God, we have a spending problem. We have a revenue problem. We need to collect the taxes from those people in the top 1/10% and the richest corporations. This is a worthy cause for our investments. It will always be America's children that need to come first. It is a critical infrastructure in this country. It's paramount. We step up the investments, help parents, improve social and emotional learning for our kids, and deliver child care. And, you know, let me just say that I'm going to turn it over now to someone who is on the front lines of all of this, and that's to Brittanya Brown, Texas educator, child care business owner of Our Loving Village in a small town called Stamford. Brittanya has been advocating for thriving wages for child care educators. She played a key role in winning a Texas child care initiative called Proposition 2, which would help childhood educators with taxes that burden their business and shrink their wages. You know what she showed? Child care can win on the ballot. Child care can win on the ballot, even in red states. So we're grateful to have advocates like you here today. And please come forward and tell us your story.
Thank you so much. Well, thank y'all so much for having me out here. Y'all, I'm from Texas, so I'm going to keep it nice and sweet and pink, but y'all, we're going to turn up the heat because care can't wait. Can't wait. Care can't wait. Care can't wait. Thank y'all so much for having me. Again, my name is Brittanya Brown, and I am the proud mother of 5-year-old boy-girl twins. Like Representative DeLauro said, that I am a child care business owner and an educator out in Texas in a small rural town called Stamford. And I am a proud community change, child care change maker. I have several degrees and certifications in early childhood and education, but nothing in textbooks or lectures would have ever prepared me for the feat that I'd have to face as a mother and as a business owner to make sure that my babies and the children that they grow up next to have the brightest future. I started my high-quality home-based childcare program in 2019. Just 2 months postpartum from giving birth to twins. And if anybody knows how hard it is to raise one, y'all, two has been an exhausting thing. So in addition to not having enough childcare available and not being able to afford it, when both me and my ex-husband were working full-time jobs, I was the owner and director of my own program. I couldn't afford to put my children anywhere. There were no care options available. And it's because it's due to a lack of teachers. Teachers who do not have thriving wages to support their own families. So I knew the plight too well. I had to quickly become the solution to my own problem. And I'm here today to demand that there be $16 billion in federal child care funding to ensure that every early educator, just like me, has a thriving wage. Can we get some yeses? Yes. And to make sure that children like my twins have a chance to have an equal opportunity for the highest education and an environment that they love, that their families actually appreciate in their communities. The lack of child care funding is something that I experience on several levels. So I have to turn away children who love me when those parents can't pay. And that love and care connection, those children don't understand that mommy can't afford childcare this week, or she has to pick up another shift, which is going to impact their quality time. I hear it in the desperation of the voices of those single mothers who are saying, hey, can I bargain really quick? Can I get you some groceries? What do you need to help the child care program run? I need money. I don't need food all that well. And many of those families are also out in our rural area, are focusing on so many other things while they're at work that they also still have to find other options for their family, like going to the food pantry that's only open from 8 to 5 in our rural town. I don't want to have to think about these things, but I also have to taste and smell the burden of an underfunded childcare system when I burn a meal for my children, and I have to think of all the cents and dollars that I'm wasting on that meal and try to whip up something for their hungry bellies. I've gotten creative, and I've been applying for small business grants to try to cover this cost and, to create my own in-house subsidy system, since our wait list tends to be 6 to 8 months long out there. As a business owner, I am doing this graceful dance on a tightrope, and I can't keep it going any longer. I need to make sure that we have representation at every level, local, state, and federal, to make sure that our children, our businesses, and our families are supported with the funding that it takes to truly care for a child. We need to stand up and be the village that it takes to raise a child, and we cannot do that without everyone doing their own part. That means having representation like Mr. Castro here, who's out in Texas. I'm so grateful to see you. That is such a great thing to have. But the numbers are just not adding up. I have to rob Peter to pay Paul, and the sad fact is I'm usually Peter. I don't get to pay myself a living wage or even that to make sure that my own children have all their needs met. I want to be the loving village that really understands the challenges and provides solutions for my communities. It takes a safe place for our children and families to actually have the lives that they need. The odds are stacked against us. They're stacked against me, especially now that many of us have reached the child care cliffs where the stabilization funds that kept us open throughout the pandemic are expiring. I have to ask myself, do I jump ship or do I batten down the hatches? And I am in this fight because care can't wait. Care can't wait. That's right. Care can't wait. Care can't wait. More than 3,000 children in Texas are expected to lose their child care spots as a result of this stabilization cliff. And almost 4,000 child care programs are projected to close this year alone. And it's making it even harder for families to find that safe and nurturing care that we need. Texas parents will actually lose out on $700 million in earnings as a result of being forced to cut their work or leave the workforce entirely. I'm in a rural Texas town, as I said, very small, and we have these things called child care deserts. Y'all may have heard of them. Well, just think of my little area as the Sahara Desert. Funds have dried up, our morale has dried up, our teachers are definitely not coming into this industry if they don't have thriving wages. So we need y'all to understand that our villages are literally burning right now. We need every lawmaker, every child care provider, every parent with us in this movement, because we cannot go a day without child care, and we need the funding that it takes. The last thing in closing, I fear that my state of Texas is not going to make up for the expiration of these federal funds. That's why I'm up here urging our federal government, our representation, to pass that emergency child care funding and make it accessible on the local level. I've done the work as an organizer with community change and child care change makers to make sure that providers and families all over the nation's voices are heard, and that childcare will be the top voting issue in 2024. Especially ahead of this 2024 election, we will be looking at who is silent on Capitol Hill and in their district office. We want you to meet with us, and we want you to hear that we need you to be childcare champions, because care can't wait. Thank you so much, y'all. Care. I'd really love to introduce this wonderful representative, Joaquin Castro, who has been a child care champion. It is such an honor for me to have you here, and I'd love to hear some remarks from you.
Sure. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please. Yeah.
I'm not Joaquin Castro, but you're going to hear from him in just a minute. Thank you so much, Tanya. Thank you to all the care providers who are here today. I'm Suzanne Bonamici from Oregon, and why are we here today? I don't think they can hear you in the speaker's office. Why are we here today? Care can't wait. Thank you so much for telling your story, and for all the care providers for sharing your stories. Thank you to the Democratic leadership. We are so honored to have Joaquin Castro, our Democratic leader who spoke, as well as Whip Clark leading this effort. It makes a difference. And we are here to say we support every single penny of President Biden's $16 billion in supplemental funding. And Democrats and President Biden, we delivered. We delivered those child care stabilization grants. And what a difference those made. They helped more than 220,000 providers keep their doors open. They helped provide quality child care to more than 10 million children, which also affects their families. And that funding kept kids in care and parents at work. Now we can and we must extend that funding, because it's so critical to keep our economy strong. So last month, I led an effort to call on all of our representatives and senators to join us in renewing this expired funding. And we know why, because children are a very good investment. And you heard Rosa DeLauro talk about how they're saying, oh, we don't have the money. You know what's one of the best investments we can make? In our children, in our nation's children. And that we get that money back. We know what a good investment is to get kids a good start in life and let parents go to work. Well, unfortunately, our colleagues across the aisle haven't joined us yet in restoring those investments. In fact, they're even proposing to cut really critical programs like Head Start. Is that the right direction? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, we know that childcare workers across the country are struggling with increased demand, and we know how important, as Whip Clark said, childcare is essential economic infrastructure. And importantly, early childhood educators deserve a living wage. What important work you do. My home state of Oregon is investing now in accessible, affordable childcare, but the work is getting harder as those American Rescue Plan funds have expired. And across Northwest Oregon, I hear about the need for more affordable childcare. In fact, a rural town just north of Portland, not an urban area, a rural town, they're making a research center there for manufacturing. You know what they're talking about? Childcare. How they need to have childcare there so they can attract students and faculty there. It's so critical, as in Oregon and across the country, as we heard. Families are facing these indefinite wait lists. What are they going to do? So I'm calling on all of my colleagues, House and Senate, both sides of the aisle. You need to get this $16 billion at the least across the finish line. And why? Because care can't wait. It's good for... That's right. Care can't wait. It's good for children, it's good for families, and it's good for the economy. So we can work this together to build this economy that will leave no one behind. And we must work together and save childcare, because care can't wait. And now... You want to go? Okay. And now it's my honor to introduce my colleague we work together on affordable childcare, Sarah Jacobs from the state of California.
Thank you. Where are my Californians at? Woo! All right, you guys better know
that this is really important if you have this many Californians out here in the cold. So thank you all so much for being here. As one of the youngest members of Congress, I know just how deeply the child care crisis has weighed on my generation. And the expiration of the emergency child care funding has made an already difficult challenge of finding an affordable child care even harder. This crisis has been even more on my mind lately because as of last week, I have a new nephew. His name is Arlie. And as the fun aunt, I will be spoiling Arlie and his big sister, Isla. But more importantly, I want them to have the high quality care and early learning that they need to thrive. And I want their parents to have the peace of mind knowing that their kids are safe and well taken care of. And I want those who are taking care of Arlie and Isla to be able to make ends meet and provide for their own families. And I want every family in America to have those things too. But because House Republicans let emergency child care funding expire at the end of September, millions of other parents across the country might be unable to get the child care that meets their needs. Child care programs are already being forced to raise their prices or close their doors permanently. And it's hurting our workforce, especially those who need access to affordable child care the most. Even before the pandemic, over 2 million parents every year were forced to limit their role at work due to child care issues. And this was especially true for Black and multiracial parents who reported job disruptions at almost double the rate of white parents. That's why we urgently need to pass President Biden's supplemental spending request that includes how much? $16 billion for child care. If Congress passes this funding, my home state of California would be able to support over 50,000 providers and serve more than 700,000 children. Now, let's be clear, this $16 billion is not a silver bullet that will magically fix the child care crisis that we've had for a long time. But it will stop the bleeding. It will keep more child care centers open and support kids, parents, and providers. And it will be good for our economy. We actually save $6 for every $1 we invest in high-quality early childhood care, okay? We see big savings in areas like health and education. So I am so tired of my colleagues who say that childcare spending is wasteful or extravagant. It's an investment that will pay dividends for generations to come. It's an investment that will save us money, and it's an investment that we can't afford not to make. And I hope childcare isn't something that we're still fighting about when Arlie and Isla are my age. So thank you all so much for being here. CARE can't wait. CARE can't wait. CARE can't wait. CARE can't wait. That's right. And now I'm happy to introduce my colleague, Lois Frankel.
Okay, hi. I guess, am I wrapping this up?
I don't know.
Are you wrapping it up? Am I wrapping this up? Oh, you're lucky. I'm wrapping this up. I'm lucky because I'm from Florida and I'm freezing. I'm Lois Frankel. I'm chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus. And most importantly, I've been a working mother and now I'm a working grandmother of 2 toddlers. And I just want to say thank you all, especially the workers and the providers for doing what I think is the most important work that we have, which is taking care and nurturing our little children, you know, in such formative times.
Can't hear.
Okay, well, you can't hear? Is there a mic?
Not allowed here.
Oh, it's not allowed here. Okay. But just thank you. And I just want to say, keep your voices loud. So I'm going to, as the chair of the Women's Caucus, I wanted to have a little different focus, which is on the women who are the parents and the women, the workers who are mostly women. Because really and truly, it's often the working moms who end up staying home when the child care is not there. And what does that mean for them? Either cutting down their hours or losing their promotion or leaving the workforce entirely. And what does that mean in terms of one-day retirement? It also means setting aside maybe your own hopes and dreams for your own life and your goals. Because for moms, I know for me, your children always come first. And so that's why child care is so important. And it's a struggle felt every day by parents and especially by the workers. The women, where is Sarah? Are you here, Sarah, from Wisconsin?
Oh,
who came into my office today. She's been in child care her whole life. She told me she makes $12 an hour. Half her paycheck goes towards rent. She has to work a second job in a bar at night. She's never had health care. She has no savings or retirement, and I say she deserves better, don't you? And sadly, the Republicans have allowed the funding for child care to expire, and as my colleague said, we risk losing millions of slots and many thousands of centers closing. So listen, here's our message. We can't leave the parents, the moms especially, and the workers behind. So I thank President Biden for taking the lead, my Democratic leaders and colleagues, and all of you for being here. Obviously, CARE can't wait. I'm Lois Franco from Florida. I think I'm wrapping up. Am I wrapping up? Sheila Jackson Lee is going to wrap up. She's from Texas. Come on up, Sheila. Thank you, everybody.
Pastor, I'll take you so
Thank you, folks. Okay, Sheila, you can wrap it up.
Everybody loves Lois Frankel. Everybody says, we love Lois. Let me just say this. Child care can never wait. Yes. Never wait. I'm putting a little insert. You know how the teacher says, you need to add an addition here. Child care can never wait. I need to hear you. Child care can never wait. Child care can never wait. Let me thank all of you. I was standing next to Holly from Washington State, who says this weather doesn't bother her. She's got a heart of passion. But she did tell me a story that breaks my heart and causes my eyes to tear up even more, is that she knows a person that is working not one, not two, but 3 jobs to be able to pay for child care for her child or her children. We know that families across America, 1/3 of their income or more is being used for child care. I chair the Congressional Children's Caucus, and I want to thank all of you on our SEIU family and the Child Care Coalition that has brought us together to be able to say, we're not going to take it anymore. The $16 billion is the least we can do. And a state like Texas, it'll give us another $1 million, almost $1.8 million to help 10,000 children. And we know that 86,000 children in Texas will continue to have child care opportunities, but we'll help 10,000 plus child care providers. These are unselfish people, many of them who started because of their own children and fell in love with the children that they are taking care of. This is about love. This is about love, Republicans. This is about people who love these children and love America and want to say to the children, you are not going to be abandoned. So if I leave you with anything besides this horrible documentation that providers don't have money, that parents don't have money, that jobs take them away from their children. And of course, we hear all these things about families are supposed to be home to take care of their children. That's why their children go in a different way. Well, you are unselfish, or selfish, when you think one group of Americans can take care of their children in comfort and another group of Americans are sacrificed and their children are taken away from the opportunities of a loving family. I stand here today to say we will not rest until the $16 billion gets passed in the President's supplemental and we take care of the providers and the children. We are united. Child care providers, we are united. I stand with you from the seas of East and West and North and South. We stand with you. We are the country of the brave and the country of the courageous. Let us be brave and courageous for our children. And let us say to that mom or that parent, we're standing with you. And we're going to give you some time to love your children. It's about love, to love our children. Thank you all very much. I want to thank everyone for coming, and let's close this out with a chant. Care can't wait! Care can't wait! Care can't wait! Care can't